Let's jump right into it and start by looking at SLCP measures. Methane, degasification, recovery, and use. So a lot of the methane emissions come as unintended consequences of oil and gas production and flaring, get rid of the excess methane, and of course from wetlands, from cattle, from rice paddies, and so on and so forth. Recovery and waste disposal, land dumping grounds, recovery from municipal waste and wastewater treatment, reduce emissions from agriculture. For black carbon, we will look at the impacts of improving stoves. Indoor cooking tends to be one of the big sources of black carbon as well. So moving from biomass to liquid petroleum gas, biogas, wood to pellets, upgrading brick kilns, use particle filters for diesel vehicles. So diesel vehicles are not very good for pollution because they have a huge particulate matters and methane emissions, which can act also as promoting other reactions once they're emitted, other than impacting health and so on. HFCs, it's to be replaced by a low global warming potential alternative, high energy efficiency alternatives for refrigeration, air conditioning, and foam blowing, because HFCs are used for insulation foams in houses, for refrigeration, and so on. Efficacy for cooling technology. We'll see that the idea of improving air conditioning efficiency itself can turn out to be much more important than, for example, reforesting Amazon to recover the lost coverage of vegetation, or reducing meat eating. It's not like it should be one or the other, but just to get an idea, air conditioning is a huge problem, especially we will see how the demand is expected to continue to grow with warming, because air conditioning is obviously a very easy adaptation measure, right? If it's hot, you buy an air conditioner. Unfortunately, with HFCs, air conditioners are a huge problem for global warming. Okay, so there are 16 measures, including those listed above, and we will look at some ideas as we go along. And minus 40% methane and almost minus 80% black carbon by 2030 relative to business as usual is possible with no new technical breakthroughs needed, and there are already many regulations and implementations of reduction pathways are underway, so that's good news. Half reductions at low cost or cost neutral in terms of benefits from investing in mitigation effort. Obviously, for HFCs, still there is no one-size-fit-all solution. So moving from CFCs to HFC through Montreal Protocol was easier, but now HFCs are going to take some time, and we will see what Kigali extension to the Montreal Protocol wants to do or has been doing already. So further research and development for super efficient and affordable cooling equipment is very critical there. This looks a little busy, but it's very useful. So SLCP control measures, these are the 16 cost-effective control measures involving technologies and practices that already exist and could significantly reduce SLCP emissions. If implemented globally, these measures could reduce global methane emissions by 40%, black carbon by 80% by 2030, as we just said. Measures to mitigate high global warming potential HFCs could deliver additional near-term climate benefits. Okay, so here they are, the 16 of them. I won't go through all of them, but maybe I will. Replacing traditional biomass cook stoves with modern cook stoves, replace traditional cooking and heating with clean burning biomass stoves, replace wood stoves and burners with pellet stoves, which can be much less emitting and more energy density as well. Replace lump coal with coal briquettes for cooking and heating. So coal is still part of the portfolio because it's not completely eliminated yet in this option. Replace traditional brick kilns with improved kilns to reduce emission. Replace traditional coke ovens with modern recovery ones. That's kind of a pre-product for making cement, I think. So you can see the sectors here: black carbon, residential sector, industrial, transport, agriculture, fossil fuel, and waste management. Keep that in mind. So the colors correspond to those sectors. Diesel particulate filters for road and off-road vehicles. This is a Euro 6 agreement. Eliminate high-emitting diesel vehicles. Ban open field burning of coal agricultural waste open field burning of agricultural waste, which is a big problem in a place like Delhi, for example, as the seasons change after the monsoon and the winter inversions begin to set in, and the harvesting of the monsoon crops is over. Farmers begin to burn the fields to clear it for the next planting season, which is really a bad idea. But there is maybe simple solutions like providing free tractors instead of burning the residue. 10. Intermittent aeration of continuously flooded rice paddies. Rice is a diet, primary food item for several billion people in Asia and across the world, and the flooding method of growing rice to eliminate weeds turns out intermittent aeration can greatly reduce methane emission there. Okay, so that's methane. Improve manure management and animal feed. From fossil fuels, pre-mine degasification, recovery and oxidation of methane from ventilation air from coal mines. So burning methane can actually be much better because it converts to CO2 and water, both of which are of course greenhouse gases, but methane has huge global warming potential of 25 compared to CO2. So that's much better to reduce it to CO2 in any case. In terms of waste management, we have recovery and utilization of gas and fugitive emissions from oil and natural gas production. So there, again, if CO2 can be captured, can be used for driving more fossil fuel recovery and so on. And the flaring of methane is again better than just letting it leak as methane. Reduce leakage from long-distance gas transmission pipelines. They turn out to be a big contributor. So that's part of the fossil fuel, I'm sorry. Waste management, separation and treatment of biodegradable municipal waste and landfill gas collection. Upgrade wastewater treatment with gas recovery and overflow control. So there are also HFCs measures, replacement of high climate impact HFCs with low impact alternatives. As we said, it's not as clear yet, but let me stop this podcast here and say that we have a well-defined list of solutions for reducing, mitigating SLCPs in the short run, which is going to have lots of direct benefit of reducing global warming, bending the curve, as well as a lot of co-benefits in terms of health and agricultural production and sea level rise and so on. And many of them can be done without waiting for new technologies to evolve. Okay, so we'll see how that works out with further discussion.